Hello Year 2, I hope you're keeping safe and well at home. Now I'm in our Year 2 classroom today and I've chosen a story that I know we enjoyed reading, all about Bob, the man on the moon, and this story is called Bob's Best Ever Friend. It was a Tuesday in space and nothing much was happening. By 10 o'clock, Bob, the man on the moon, had finished all of his jobs for the day. There were no space tourists to entertain, and his friends Billy and Sam were away on a day trip to Pluto, visiting a most exciting pet show. They hoped to see some alien animals, but Bob thought they'd be disappointed. After all, everyone knows there's no such thing as aliens, and especially not alien animals. With nobody to talk to, Bob felt a little glum. And then at lunchtime, he even had to bounce on his bouncy castle alone. And that had never, but never happened before. Quite frankly, Bob was a bit lonely. To cheer himself up, Bob went for a quick spin around the universe in his rocket. But nothing much was happening there either. Unfortunately, every last planet was closed for the winter, so Bob stopped off on a passing asteroid to enjoy a nice cup of tea and a corned beef slice. The view was beautiful, and it was just a shame that he had no one to share it with. What I need, thought Bob to himself, is a best ever friend, a chum, someone to help with intergalactic missions and jigsaw puzzles, a pal who would always be by my side. But where on earth could he find a friend like that? For the rest of the day, Bob pondered his problem until it was time to return to Earth for a nice supper of fish fingers and peas. As a Tuesday treat, he allowed himself to eat in front of the TV. The newsreader was warning that a troublesome asteroid was causing havoc elsewhere in the solar system, and it was now in danger of crashing into Earth. Bob was glued to the screen. He wished that he had someone to watch the programme with. It was so exciting. And as he sipped his cocoa in bed, Bob thought it would be so much easier if a best ever friend could find him instead. The next day, Bob didn't have to start work until the evening, so after some early star jumps in the garden, he cycled into town to do a spot of shopping. Firstly, he had a quick peek around the modern art gallery, and then he bought 2 smallish batteries and a smart pair of moon patterned underpants, half price in the sale, and a newspaper hot off the press. The streets were busier than ever, and Bob wondered how on earth anyone could find or spot a best ever friend in a place like this. In the midst of his daydream, Bob suddenly found himself staring at the window of a local pet shop called Rats, Cats and Bats. At first, he was a trifle confused. Why had he gone there? But then he remembered Clive and Keith, his cousin Dougal's goldfish. Bob was looking after them for a day or two, and that morning he thought they were looking rather peckish. As he paid for their squishy, delishy fishy food, a strange notion popped into Bob's head. Perhaps his best ever friend was a pet. Bob had a good look around inside, but he couldn't see anything that looked like a best ever friend. To tell you the truth, some of the animals looked a little odd. Oh well, sighed Bob to himself, you can't rush these things. His thoughts were interrupted by the chimes of the town clock. It was 4:30. Time for tea. The best tea in town was served at the Moon Soup Pit Stop Cafe. Bob felt quite at home among the moon pictures and decorations, although sometimes he did call it the Moonstop Pit Soup Cafe by mistake. He wondered if anyone would recognise him without his spacesuit on, but no one did, so he sat quietly and he nibbled his favourite moon soup crater cake. He knew that it was really just a donut, but it was tip-top tasty all of the same. It was a shame there was no time for seconds, But night was falling and Bob had a job to do. The moon was waiting. Bob pedalled as fast as he could to the rocket launch pad, and in a super fast flash, he changed into his man-on-the-moon suit. He needed to reach the moon before the first Moon Tour tourist spaceship arrived. There were snacks and entertainment to prepare. After clambering aboard, he flicked lots of switches and his rocket began to rumble. And Bob counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff. And by 5:45, he was zooming towards the golden moon. And by 6 o'clock, he was there. There's his moon rocket zooming to the moon. Bob welcomed the tourists with a free mini pork pie and a speech. And then he performed his thrilling moon-themed variety show. Everyone went home happy. Everyone, that is, except Bob, who was alone once more. Quietly, he packed away his props and he began his weekly crater count. And that is when it happened. There, popping out of crater number 204, was a little furry tail. What could it be? The closer Bob got to it, the faster the tail wagged. And then, as if by magic, something amazing shot out of the crater. No one in the whole universe would have expected to see what Bob saw at that moment. It was a dog. The most smiley, springy dog that Bob had ever seen. He had no idea where it had come from or how it had got there, but he didn't care. He didn't even care that it looked a little odd. All that Bob knew was that from this moment onwards, they would be best ever friends. It was as if it had been written in the stars. Bob called his dog Barry. And each day, with their friends, they would run, they would leap, and they would play. Except, of course, on Tuesday lunchtimes. On Tuesday lunchtimes, they would bounce and bounce and bounce. The end. I hope you enjoyed the story. Bye, Year 2.